we are given these database objects, and we have created an entity relationship diagram which shows some objects: student, department, course, and the teachers. Since for each object there are some primary keys and other attributes, and similarly for course, the course ID is used as primary key and the name. For department, department ID is used as primary key and a name. And then student has student ID as primary key, and there are some other features. And now this shows the relationship between the student and the department. Since one department can contain more than one student, so we consider that only a student contains and can select one department at a time. And similarly, we assume that the student can select courses. So since one student can select more than one course, and in one course we can have many students, so this is what we call the many-to-many relationship between student and the course. So in order to solve this, we create another table between them. We call it, for example, registration, and we put the primary key of student as well as the course ID. And also we can add other attributes, such as I added registration, so when student registered for the course. Similarly, a teacher can teach more than one course, and a course can be taught by one teacher. So we have also many-to-many relationship, and we created another table, teaches, which contains the primary key of course and the primary key of teacher. Let me quickly create these tables in SQLite database. some queries on these data tables which we have created. Select static from students, so you can see that all the data that are present inside the student have been selected. The star means all the rows and all the columns that are present in the students table show us. So we use the star when we want to show all of the data present in any database. For example, we may also write the names of the columns that we want to select. For example, the student ID. I want to show the student ID, comma, first name and the last name and the gender, for example, from students. So when we execute the query, it should be able to show only the selected column. So you can see that it has only selected student ID, first name, last name. Even we can do some operations on the columns. For example, if I want to concatenate or join these two columns together, you can see that the names have been concatenated. And even we can give a title to the column after joining. So we say that A is name. Since there is no space between first name and the last name, so I just want to concatenate a space operator between first name and last name. Now you can see that we have added a space between first name and the last name. And we also changed the title of the column, and now this is name. Another thing that we can also do on each column is to apply some functions. For example, upper function will convert the lowercase letters of the gender into an uppercase. So you can see that now they are in capital letter. So there are many functions which are being provided by the SQL which can directly applied on the columns. For example, I just want to rename it so that it should display the name of the column to be the gender. So upper is a function. Similarly, we have the lower is another function which converts uppercase letters into small case letters. So these things can also be done on the column values present in our database. So as I said, we can change the name. As is a default, I mean, you can use it or you can directly give the name, but it is better to put the as keyword to which will be clarified that we are using it as a to change the name. Similarly, we can change the name of student ID to, for example, ID. So we can do anything that we want when we are performing the select operation on different columns. We can select all of the columns and all of the data, or we can select some of the columns, and so in that case we need to write the names. So I just want to show all of them, so I will write the star. So this is how we can select the data from the tables which are present in our database. But for example, you can see this is a department ID, but I don't know department ID 1 means what. For example, the student ID 1 is in department 1, and I just want to show the name of the department which is present in another table which we created the department. And another thing that we can do here is select the column, the rows that we want. For example, we put the condition that where the student ID is equal to 2, then this gives us only the student whose ID is equal to 2. So we can also apply operators like greater than, less than, or equal to other sort of operations, or maybe more than one. For example, if we say student ID is less than 2, so in this case it will be only one student whose ID is less than 2. Or we can also add more than one condition here. For example, if I say first name is equal to, let's say, Ali, then in this case, this will give us only one row because there is only one person whose first name is Ali. And in this case, one more thing I just want to show you, if we write with the small letter, so since capital letters Ali is not equal to the small letters Ali, so one possible solution is to convert this one into lowercase, and also maybe we can convert our query. For example, in this case I have written this one in small, but still we can apply a lower function so that it will be converted into lowercase, and also the right one is in lowercase. Now we can say that they are both are same. So now if we write in capital letters or small letters for the Ali, it doesn't matter. So both will be converted into small, and then they will be compared, because Ali is the same for us whether we are writing the small or capital. So this is how we can also apply some extra functions provided by SQL, and we can use them in the selection or maybe inside the where condition as well. And so in this case, we have specified one condition. We can also add another condition. So in that case, we will be using AND keyword. So in this case, we are saying AND department ID is equal to 2. So there is no person named Ali in the department ID 2. That's why it did not display any result. We can also display use OR operation. In this case, this one was correct for the first row, and the department ID condition was correct for the second row, which indicates that both rows are satisfying this condition. So two rows are being returned. And this is how we can write both conditions and apply some functions of the SQL, and we can, and also important thing, you can see this is the not operator, which we usually write as not equal in C, C++ sort of languages, but in SQL we usually write it like one smaller less than and one greater than symbol together. So this is equal to, this is same as not equal to operator. And now the main problem is that the student ID is present in student, but the department's name is basically present in another department, another table. So in this case, if I want to show the name of the department in which my student is studying, then I need to do one thing which we call it the joining two tables. So instead of just displaying the department ID, we want to display the name of the department in which the student is studying. So in this case, what we can do is to use the join keyword, and then we say the department. So in this case, we are joining student with the department table, and there is a condition to satisfy. So we say on students dot department ID must be equal to, in the department tables, department ID. If this condition is satisfied, show us those rows. So when we run it, now you can see that we have displayed for the students data as well as the data from the departments table. But you can see that the department ID has been displayed two times, because one department ID is shown from the students table, and another department ID and the name are shown from the students table. So we can also select which rows we want to show. For example, if we want to show all the rows from students, then we can say students dot star. It means from students table, show all the columns. And if we want to show the columns from department table, we can also say department dot name. For example, I just want to show name from the students departments table and all columns from students table. So that's why I have written students dot star, comma, department dot name. Or you can select any name that you need, for example. So this is how we can join two tables together. So we use the join keyword and then the name of the table. And also, for example, if you want to join another table, then you also need to write in the same way. We will be saying the join, the name of the department and name of the table, and the condition on which we are going to make the join. So this is how we can select data from more than one table. So this is what we call it, the joining. And for now, let's say if we want to select the courses, for example, so you can see that there are different courses which we have just added just to show. And let us maybe add something into the tables. So right now we have 6 courses which we are showing in the courses table, and let us insert, we can also insert some data from here also. So we will write the query, let insert into the name of the table is course, and then the only column that we will insert is the name. If you remember that the course ID is auto incremented, which means that my database SQLite will automatically create this course ID for me. So just I need to insert the name. Now I inserted a new row. So this one is saying that one row is affected. It means one row has been added into my data table. If I add some more rows, so in this case you can also see that after executing this query we have inserted one more row, so one row is affected. So we can confirm it from select all from course. So you can see that in the last 2 columns, so numerical methods, and 7 is automatically created, 8 is also automatically created by my database. So this is how we can do the insertion into some table. So we use the keyword insert into. So let me select some students. Let's say we have 2 students, student 1 and 2, and we can also insert a student or add data into the student tables. So in this case we say insert into students the first name, last name, email, password, gender, and the department ID. In this case, I'm not going to enter student ID because it is automatically created by my database. So now I am going to provide the values for the first name. So it is a string, I need to provide it in single quotes. So the first name should be a string. So this is my first parameter is first name. The last name, comma, the last name that I'm going to write, for example, like this one, and the email. So the third parameter is email. So the order is very important. So I just write an email, and now we will write the password. Let's say 123. The gender, it looks like a female, and let's say the department ID is 4. So let us select this one and execute it. So we can see here that one row is affected. It means one row has been created. So we can just I want to delete it and confirm that one row has been added or not. So you can see that one row has been added into the students table. And it is also possible that once after adding some data, we can make update or change the data. So we use this keyword update student. And what we want to update, we use this keyword set. For example, I want to set the last name to be, for example, Kurt or Kurt, I don't know, somehow. And we can also update many columns at the same time. In that case, we will be writing comma. And let's say the department I'm going to change to, for example, 3. And this where condition is very important, where student ID is equal to 3, because I am going to change the last name and the department of this student. If we do not write this where clause and write it, then it will set the last name and the department ID for all students to Kurt and 3. So this where condition is very important. Now we can select and see if rows have been updated, because this shows me one row has affected. So let us confirm by looking at the table. So you can see that department is now 3 and the last name is Kurt. And this is how we perform the updation of the data. So let us look at the departments, and the last thing that we want to check is how we can delete the information, or we can, let me see, just first insert some department, for example, insert into department the name, the values. Now I'm going to provide, let's say, home economics. Select this and execute it. So just confirm it that home economics has been added, for example. And now I want to delete this from my database. So to delete it, we use the keyword delete from department, and don't forget to provide this condition where department ID, which one you want to delete, is the 5. So once we execute it, so it says that one row is affected, it means one row has been deleted, and now we can select it and see that the department ID 5 has been deleted. Or we can also say conditions like greater than 3, it means management sciences ID is greater than 3. So we can provide any condition or any sort of relational condition that we want. So now only 3 departments are present here. So those are enough to see some other. So we see insertion, updation, and deletion from how we do it from our database. So let's say that we want to see that, let's say, Seher. Let us select the student Seher, and she has selected some courses, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Let's select some of the courses like 1, 2, and 6, that she has selected 3 courses or registered 3 courses. So let me make some entries here, add a new row. Let's say student is 2, student ID is 2, and the course 1 has been selected. And the same student has selected course 2, and the same student has selected also 6. And let's provide some registration date. So let me enter into this some registration date. Let's say 10/11/2019, this on this date, and then on 15th of November, and then on, let's say, 18th of November 2019, the student has registered these courses. So let us look at the registration table. This is not the courses. So let us look at the registration, and we can see I forgot to add one value here. So 2 means the student ID 2 has selected course 6. So now we can select it. So we can see. So this is how we give the information from the registration. But who is student ID and which course is this, we cannot define from here, or we cannot see it. So the better way is to, now we can join 3 tables, the registration, the student, and the course tables, and show the details. So let us do it. So select all static from students, and now we are going to join the registration, and on which condition we want to join, we will just write it here. So we use this keyword on. Student dot student ID must be equal to the registration dot student ID. So now we just join the student with the registration table, and we also want to show the course information, so the course name. So we also need to join course, and this time what we are saying is the course dot course ID must be equal to registration dot course ID. So this is the condition that is satisfied. So, and then the first is based on student ID, the second is based on the course ID, and now I want to show all from the students table. So that's why I said student dot star, and I want to show from course the name of the course, and from registration maybe I can show the registration date. Now if we execute it, everything looks okay. So we just provide enough information. Now you can see that the student ID, first name, last name, and department ID. Now we provide the course name as well as the registration date. So we combined three different tables, and we can do anything that we want. We're doing the same thing as I did before, that concatenation of two different tables, two columns within the student tables. You can do that and give it a name, like for example, the name is name, give the title as name. And let's put on different lines and now execute it. So there is some, oh, I forgot to put this double pipes on the right side also, because we are concatenating this student's last name with the first name and also a space in between them. So this is how we are showing. We are showing the name of the student and the name of the department and the registration date. So this says that Seher Khan has registered visual programming on this date, in a data structure on this date, and database development on this date. We can even perform some more things, like for example, if I want to count or how many courses this student has registered. So we can use this function, count function. So we say count, maybe just select one column, that is enough, and execute it. So this says count is a built-in function, and count the student ID, and we give the number of courses as the title. So what this is saying, ambiguous name student ID, okay, because student ID is present in both student as well as registration. So let me write it like student ID. No two columns can have the same name. So now we can see that it returns 3, which indicates that with this student has selected or registered 3 courses so far. So this is how we can use it to count the number of courses using the count function. So we implemented a simple scenario for these given tables and the relationships, and we created their respective database and how we can perform selection, insertion, deletion operations on these tables using SQL, and here we use